Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know if my mic's working. Think it is. I'm currently attached to OBS, so welcome to a re-recording of the first episode of my future Sub-Surface Warfare Frigate tutorial program. So I don't have a script, don't have anything. This is a complete re-recording of a video I filmed yesterday or the day before. Upon editing said video, I realised that my mic hadn't recorded anything of any consequence whatsoever. I'm feeling slightly better than I was yesterday when I recorded that video, but I am still a bit choky, a bit coughy, so if I cough at any point, I'll try my best to cover the microphone, but if I blow out people's ears, I do apologise. So, by popular demand, I've been asked to record a sort of tutorial series slash tutorial video. And I've just finished with recording the second part, so I sort of know where it leads to now. But that being said, you're currently watching a video playback with a live commentary. So I'm going to be, you can see a Type 23 frigate there in the top left. So a little bit of a backstory for this build overall. The future Subsurface Warfare platform is a fiction design for the replacement of the Royal Navy's Type 23 frigates, the ASW frigates, and essentially the design profile is, well, you'll see it in the video, so I'm just here to explain what's going on in the video, and I believe Past James is now getting ready to start. So you can see in front of you, basically we've started with a big long slab of the 1x1 blocks, and we're going to be using this as the base for our design. He's just talking about currently shaping the hull. So the hull itself is going to be quite angular. It's a modern frigate, modern surface combatant. So you'll see in a minute we're going to start shaping the hull as we are now. And what I'm doing in this little section is just shaping the hull quite nicely. I want to get a really nice curve for the bow section. So we're just going back. I started off with deleting 1x2 spaces. I'm now deleting 1x4 spaces. I'll be moving on to 1x6 now, as you can see. So I'm just getting a gradual curve on that bow shape. I'm now going 1x8, one more 1x8, and then we're going to do a final deletion of 1x12. So you can see we've got a really nice shape now. That curve I was talking about earlier that flares into a perfectly straight stern. The stern is only going to be straight because it's going to be quite a large flight deck along with large hangar. So you can now see I'm going in with my 1x2 wedges. 1x2 wedges spanning the first half, and then we're in with our 1x4 wedges. Again, 1x4 wedges to fill in these little gaps at the back there. The spaces between them give a really nice continuation of that curve. Now, in a second, we're going to be going in with our 2x2 pyramids. 2x2 pyramids just to get that really nice angle, and I haven't done it yet, but in a moment you'll see that I completely redesign the that first hull, or that first shape. You can see I'm trialing the 2x4 pyramids there, which I don't like and do eventually change. So for now there's not really a lot happening. No, I think we're just continuing. Yeah, so we continue with the 2x4s, stretching the first half length of the bow that you can see there, and I do definitely go back and change it. So this frigate is going to be one of several I hope to build in a series, dependent on how depending on how this video does. I would like to incorporate time lapses, etc., when the video isn't a tutorial. But this is essentially more of how I tend to build my ships. Obviously, building ships is completely subjective. Building anything in this game is completely subjective. But people do it several different ways. But this, for me personally, is the most efficient and the most effective way of building ships specifically. I'm not really of an anything else except a ship builder kind of guy, but it's completely subjective. There's no right or wrong way to build anything in the game. But you can see, I believe this is the moment I realised that the shape isn't going to work, and I completely wiped the slate clean. I think clearly not. Yeah, so I'm just describing now. God, this is really, really weird, looking back at my own work and not having any sound to go off of. This is nice. Very, very nice indeed. Oh god, I can't even remember. I only recorded this yesterday as well. Any second now, I think. We might stretch the hull back. I think we do. Yeah, we do. We go right back and sort of see how it is there. I might just time skip to when we redesign the hull. In fact, I might. Okay, and we're back. So you can see now I'm just starting to delete a load of blocks. And this is where I start redesigning that initial bow shape. So I fill in the area pretty much and basically start again. So all I'm doing is taking these 1x2s a lot further back than I did before, just so we can get that sort of that shape that stretches the entire length of the hull below the waterline, not just the first initial section there. So we'll be using the 2x4 wedges and the 2x2 wedges pretty much the entire length of this section of the hull, which stretches back all the way to the flight deck. So you can see I'm back deleting the 1x6 section, so we're going back 6 blocks and out by 1. Now I'm going back 8 blocks and out by 1. Same thing here, I do a 1x12. You can see the bow shape looks a little bit better, but this is more for sort of ease of use. What I normally do is ensure that my hull up to the waterline is between 12 and 16 blocks, because obviously a corridor needs to be about 7 or 8 blocks high to fit your character through. So 2 corridors worth of blocks here, and you can see me filling in this little section now. So I'm coming all the way down to a point now, you can see there. So that is about 16 blocks in height. So give yourself enough 1x2 wedges to get sort of 16 blocks, otherwise your ship isn't going to look tall enough. You can now see I'm coming in with the 2x4s, just filling in that second stage there. I'll have a sip of coffee before I continue. Very nice. So this section I'm still using the 2x4 wedges, except I'm missing the 2 blocks in between. This is because later on we'll come in with the 1x2 wedges, leaving the pyramids behind basically, just to get that really, really nice gradual bend in the bow section. So that just looks 10 times better. And when we come to design the superstructure during the time lapse, which ends up being 90% of the video, because it was then that I realized my mic wasn't working, so I just made it a time lapse. But I'll be commenting on obviously my actions, making sure I explain stuff. But you can see here I'm just filling in the gaps gradually as we progress down the upper half of the hull. All of this is going to be above the waterline, so that black strip you see on other ships, that's the waterline. Obviously below that then is your hull form, that's usually painted red. But this section is way above the waterline, so this is what you'll see of the ship essentially. So you can see I'm just gradually filling in, and there is a time skip. I forgot I'd done that, but anyway, the hull is complete. So essentially what I did is I took my 1x2 wedges and took it pretty much the entire length of the hull all the way back, and you can see that there. We're now in the time lapse. So what I'm doing is I'm constructing the waterline and below now. So you can see where I've popped those 4x4 pyramids. This is the start of the waterline. So that top half of the, or that first section of 4x4 pyramids, that is the waterline, and everything below that is just below the waterline. So I've gone in with my 2x4s, just to make sure I get a really gradual slope for the keel. And you can see I'm just playing with the shape of the bow there. I wanted to initially put in a bulbous bow, but I preferred the design with the lack of the bulbous bow. And again, I'm just doing the thing where I fill in the gaps there. And again, this will stretch the entire length of the hull. So I'll stretch it all the way back, and you can see where I went back with the 1x2 wedges, stretching again the entire length of the hull. I'm now grabbing the 1x2s again to fill in this lower half of the keel, and very, very shortly I'll be going in with the 1x1s. Yeah, there we go. So this hull shape, I wanted this frigate initially to be, obviously is an ocean going frigate, which I believe I succeeded in, but what I later realised was that the keel was too low in the water, so it sort of looked there. Essentially, there was more ship below the water than there was above the water, which I later, in the second episode, which is due to come out over the coming days, you'll notice that I've completely redesigned the entire bottom of the ship, essentially. But here I'm just testing where I want to have the waterline. So here I've gone a bit too high, and it was sat really quite squat in the water, and I wasn't a massive fan. So at the moment I'm just filling in the finished sort of bow section. So I'm bringing blocks all the way back, and again I'm just playing with the overall layout, which again I change in the second video, which does have mic sound. I made sure to check that, so there won't be any impromptu over commentary. But here I'm just going to get the shape what I want it to be for the area where the props and the shaft is going to go. So here you can see me creating the overall shape, which again I change in the upcoming video, but the gradual slope I went for didn't really fit the design of the ship I was going for. The rudders would have been too high, and overall I just didn't really enjoy looking at the shape that I had there. And obviously with the redesign of the keel and the waterline, obviously then prompted the change in the shaft guard there. So also in this video, at various points I switched between Stormworks and Paint.net, where I draw out the design for the ship and sort of explain my thought process. And here I'm just explaining where in the second video we edit. So in the second video I pretty much erased the entire chunk that I just deleted there that you saw, and completely redesigned. Okay, so we're going to pause here now. We're going to pause. Okay, so let me explain. Okay, so in the time lapse, and it doesn't really explain it very well because it is quite quick. But the way I design my hulls, and you'll see it in a moment, is when it comes to designing bow flare and the way the bow flares up just towards the main gun and towards the bow tip. What I usually do is I have a look at the length of the hull, and I decide in my head really what I want the ship to look like before I even design the hull. So that's why in the video you don't see it now because it's cut out. But in the video, flicking back between Stormworks and Paint.net, I would design the ship before I'd come into Stormworks and obviously then imprint that image into Stormworks or translate it into blocks. But here again, it doesn't really view very well for those that are trying to copy what I'm sort of building, hence the explanations. But essentially what I'm doing here is I've selected 50% of the ship above the waterline, and you'll see what I'm doing is I'm cutting various parts. I'm raising it up by 1 block, then I'm pasting it. I'm then cutting slightly further forward again, raising it up by 1 block, pasting it, cutting it and pasting it, and you'll see that in a second, which I'll try to explain. So you can see here, as you saw, I'm moving it forward, I'm moving it up, and then I'm pasting it. I'm moving it forward, cutting it, moving it up, pasting it. And I really liked how this bow flare turned out. We level off sort of a pretty much straight off angle there, and you can see we just merge it all together, and that's how you get a really smooth, really nice gradual design. And here's me just filling in the gaps doing that left. Filling in the rest with the 1x4 and 1x2 wedges, and then the bow goes through another little bit of a redesign, and I believe this is the final iteration of the bow, but I can't quite remember. I don't think it is. I think this might be the final iteration. Yeah, I believe that is. So you can see that is how I get the gradual bow flare there. And we'll later come in when we come to design the superstructure. So this is me again explaining how much of it I'm going to delete because I realise it's too high. And you can see me just shimmying everything up, but I do that again. I shimmy everything up by another 1 and redesign the back end there. So the props, this warship's going to have two propellers, 2 shafts, and 4 engines. I believe I had written down, only because it's not powerful enough without that. And you can see me here just copy and pasting that other half over just to make my life a little bit easier there. Merging everything together to make sure everything stays in one piece. That's me coming in just to fill in the back end there. So what I believe, so this bit here, when you use my method of like selecting, moving forward, raising up, pasting, you'll notice that obviously when you then look inside the hull, there's little gaps. You just fill these in with your 1x1 blocks. This is me testing out the waterline again. Which you'll see in the second video completely changes again. So you can see me now filling in those pesky little gaps that obviously turn up when you shift all the area up and forwards by 1. But it doesn't take too long to fix there, and you can see me marking out the waterline of the vessel. In a moment, you'll see me make slight changes to the top deck, where I believe this is it now, and I can't remember how far back we go. That's not the final iteration of the hull, but you can see me deleting that top deck of 1x1 blocks now, and this is just so I can fit in some 1x4 wedges to make sure that the ship is even more smooth looking, which you'll see in a moment, I believe. So designing the superstructure as obviously a stealth ship, I went through a couple of superstructure designs. You'll see them all in this sort of segment. I ended up settling for the last one that appears, but I really wanted to make sure that I didn't leave any 1x1 blocks exposed, because it would really interrupt sort of the layout of the superstructure and the way I wanted the hull to look. But you can see me now going through a couple of designs for the front of the ship, and I do believe we finished with that one that's on there at the moment. And just using the wedges in this way of like leaving that 1x4 pyramid gap really improves the look of the front of the ship there. This is the second design which I don't like at all. Far too tall for my liking, so we go back to that little section. In fact, I believe this is another iteration, and I don't like this one either. Nope. So we go back to the way it was that first time. There we go. So this will be the final iteration of the warship, and I'm just making sure that the deck is where I want it to be, and it is, so we keep it like this. I just make it go up. Yeah, there you go. So I make it go up towards the bow, and then add my wedges like I did just there. So this was a really cool design, actually taking inspiration from the old Royal Navy Type 12 frigates, the Leander class, with that raised bow section. It just saves the use of a wave break. Here's me designing, sort of leveling the inside to make sure it doesn't stretch too far, and this is us designing these superstructure portions. The middle section is just a section of the deck where eventually the phalanx close-in weapon system is going to go, various arms and radar systems, and the funnel goes. But I really enjoyed how this turned out. Really liked how this turned out. And we keep it all, I believe. We don't change much, if anything. I just added the funnel there. But yeah, you can see where the two sort of islands come into it. Obviously the aft island there is for the hangar. Here's me designing the windows, which I don't like either, so I sort of go in with a different approach. This one took inspiration from the Arleigh Burke, where the windows are angled straight and then angled again. Here's me designing the bridge wings, so you see I come out quite far. I delete a substantial portion of that first island there, and then I come in with my 1x2 wedges and 1x4 wedges to design the bridge wings there. I just sort of fiddle with the design a little bit, but you can see here's me coming in with the 1x4s, and then I sort of narrow it down to a 1x4 wedge, then the 1x2s, and that gives like a really nice angled bridge wing, which comes in handy for the stealth design. And there's me smoothing out the other side there. So we'll be coming onto the bridge in a minute, and there wasn't really much to say with this bridge. It was only really meant to be a placeholder, and I was going to redesign the bridge in the second video, but I actually really kind of like the look of the bridge from this first half, so we sort of keep it. And here I am painting the waterline and keels now. So the red and the blue, the vibrant colours, really just distinguish when we come to replace the colours in game. It just makes it a lot easier than painting each block individually at the end. So I do change this slightly. I add a waterline, which ends up being quite nice to look at, that flares up at the end. And really, there you can see I'm demonstrating the colours that I want the ship to have, which we do stick to. The red section of the hull there is actually more of a grey. And here's me designing the bridge. So you can see that the bridge is kind of narrow, is kind of small, but I think it suits the a vessel of this size. The section that I'm going to be building in a second is for the main mast. The vessel itself is going to be using the integrated main mast, sort of akin to the Mogami class destroyers / frigates. And you can see I'm just designing the mast now. The funnel that's in the second video sits just behind there, so the mast comes out quite substantially. I do go back and yeah, there we go. So I do go back, extend it forward, and give it a really nice shape. And the integrated main mast will sit quite comfortably on there. So at the moment, I'm just adding a little sort of extension onto the hangar there. More so for aesthetic purposes. It doesn't really serve any other purpose. I'm just going to be here. So I'm building another little raised platform where our communications antenna is going to sit, or some form of other sort of sea skimming radar system. And here, this will be the funnel for the onboard generators when we come to put those in. So this is the overall shape of the warship. This is the base that we sort of finalize in the next video in the part 2. And here you can just see me rearranging the top portion of the bridge that sort of goes down before we get to the main mast, filling in the main mast. And we've got 22 seconds approximately of the video left, so I do some finalizing of the design before we leave it for the next video. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you've enjoyed this impromptu part 1 of the video. Part 2 is coming out over the next coming days, but as always, I will love you and leave you and see you in the next video. So long.